The walk-off bump continues to roll, buddy.
What?
Hagen Danner, Haggy D, friend of the show. He's been on the cast 3 different times now. Just announced yesterday, Johnny Sources, Johnny G of Gate 14, going 4-0 with his inside knowledge of that Buffalo Bison's clubhouse and who's coming up and who's going down. But yeah, Hagen Danner joining the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend for the Jose Bautista celebrations and pitching out of the bullpen. Man, I'm so excited for this kid.
Oh, I'm pumped. Yeah, I spent all morning having coffee with my dad, just rehashing everything, every reason I'm excited about Hagen Danner. So this will be a fun one.
So big arm on the kid. Going to touch around 98 miles an hour is where he kind of sits. He's very Jordan Romano in that you will see some triple digits out of him, but it's not his MO. He's not Jordan Hicks, right? He's not going to
Right.
be regularly throwing 101, but he's got a pretty nasty slider in his curveball slash change up he does. It's like, I think calling it a slurve. Everyone has a slurve these days. But he's been hitting his spots with it, which is really what has sent him up the ranks and give him the nod to get the call up here. Like Haggy D, he's one of those guys in the organization who has been in the org for like 7 years now and really had to work to get to this point. He's 24 years old, turning 25 in the off season. Started in the started as a catcher.
Catcher. Yep.
And it was funny, but like we've had him on the show 3 times now. And the very first time we had him on, we kind of had the story of how he switched from catcher to hitter. And it's really cool that the Blue Jays player development system allowed him to switch positions like he
Mm-hmm.
did. And I know when Adam, I think it was even you that brought it up, you're like, what was it that made you switch from catching to pitching? And he was like, I can't hit and I throw 100. So they were okay with me trying.
Yeah, yeah, that'll do it. His numbers look
So
good in Buffalo this year. 23 games has gotten him 28 innings, good for a whip of 0.953 on the back of 11.1 strikeouts per nine. That'll do. And
that'll play.
2.2 walks per nine. So when you've got a nice low walks per nine and a high strikeout rate, yeah, you'll get the call up.
I know we sat down with Spencer Horowitz literally days before he got the call up and then managed to get that out there so everyone got to get to know Spencer as he joined the Blue Jays. Same thing happened with Davis Schneider, which is very cool. He had a heck of a weekend debuting in Boston. No word as to who is being sent down yet for Haggy to get the call up here. So you'll probably know by the time this episode is out, it'll already be released. Just seems to be
Yep.
the way it works. But we sat down with Haggy.
February
Our most
23rd.
recent, yeah, our most recent time was about 6 months ago. So we're going to re-release it, so you get to learn a little bit about Haggy D. Know who this newest member of the Blue Jay is. That's going to be on our YouTube page. Again, if you haven't watched the Davis Schneider or the Spencer Horowitz interviews, they're awesome, great kids. So you can do that there as well. We also just sat down with Jay Jackson of this Blue Jays bullpen last week, and that interview's also up there. All right, my guy, let's get into this thing here. Welcome to the walk-off, everybody. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. All sorts of things to get to. We will delve into that Jays and Guardians series that we all just sat through. Uh, there was a tweet yesterday that really stood out to me and made me chuckle. There was a guy who was like, "Man, even if I was getting, or what was it? This was such hard baseball to watch that I wish that I had been paid to do it." And then Keegan Matheson, friend of the show, retweeted that, and he was like, "I was paid to watch this series, still not that great."
As soon as you said Keegan, I knew where that was going. That's great.
Yeah.
Love Keegs.
So that about sums up the series. We will dive into it here. 3 studs and a dud. I'm sure it was some numbers that you crunched and went through, Adam, that you were like, huh, that's going to be a stud number, I guess.
It was a fruitful week. It was a fruitful week.
there was some folks worth acknowledging, and
There
then
might be some
Jose,
numbers inflated on the back of a Boston Red Sox trouncing. So
yes. We will also talk Jose Bautista. He is going to the level of excellence on Saturday, and this is kind of cool, buddy. The Blue Jays just announced literally a couple hours ago they are signing him to a 1-day contract so that
yeah.
he can retire a Toronto Blue Jay. So we'll talk Jose. Pitching
Hey,
just
question. Hold on.
continues.
Point
Yes.
point of clarification here. When they sign him to a 1-day contract, I'm already answering my question in my mind. I was gonna say he's not on the active roster though, so they don't have to send someone down for a day, do they?
No, they don't.
No.
No, they don't. And there's no way we see Jose Bautista DHing or anything crazy like that.
Just one more time. Just one more time. Come
Just
on.
one more time. Get him up there swinging one more time.
All right. Sorry, that was a dumb question. As soon as I started asking it, I was like, no, it's a contract. It's not active roster contract, you idiot. Sorry. All right, let's continue.
You ever seen the t-shirts, buddy, that say Toronto over everything?
Yeah?
Okay, well, pitching over everything has really been the motto of this most current Blue Jays roster, dude. It has just been
I thought it
like,
was details over everything.
yeah, details, attention to details over everything, over everything.
Attention to
pitching
details
continues.
over execution. We need a little bit more emphasis on execution. All right.
I mean, the reason this team is what they are, and I am going to get into this, but I mean, pitching has continued to be the reason that this team is a good team. And that's the thing that you can watch this last road series and have moments where you're like, this isn't a good team. And then you look at the record and you're like, how is this possible? How did they just go 5-2 on this freaking god awful road trip? But they are, and they are a good team because of the pitching. Of course, we will touch on that. George Springer, John Schneider, both ejected yesterday. Some frustration starting to boil. We'll touch on that quickly and a little bit of the ump show we got to see. And then we will take a look at the week ahead as the Cubs are in town for the big Jose Bautista celebrations. There's some days off in the week, and those pesky Philadelphia Phillies are going to be in town as well. So we will get into it here. So I think the best way to start this conversation is I wish to reiterate my feelings on the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays, which are They have proven what they are. This team is what they are. They're an incredibly frustrating team to watch with a little bit of an anemic offense who every time you think they're going to be counted out of it, somehow find a way to go 5-2 despite looking absolutely atrocious while doing it. They are a team that as soon as they give you hope, they do something like win 4 out of 8 and everyone's saying they could have won 7. This has literally been this entire season, right? Mm-hmm. And I know that there were some frustrated people from Mailbag on Tuesday who were giving us shit. I guess we were just coming across too positively, right?
Toxic
and we
positivity,
were told to
that's what we're bringing to the table. Toxic positivity.
Get your heads out of your asses.
Yeah.
The one comment said, and he was just going off about runners in scoring position. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to freak out and declare this isn't a playoff team every single time they do this. We're 112 games into the season. Like, good on everyone who has the energy to continue to lose their mind every time this team disappoints them. I can't. And on the other side, too, listen, this team is not bad enough to lose. They're not good enough to win. Like, it's really like this weird middle ground. I know consistent listener of the show, Greg, on Twitter, messaged me today. And he was like, man, you got to talk me off the ledge. Like, I'm really starting to get worried about this offense. And this is pretty much what I said to him. I'm like, man, like, I don't know if I can talk you off the ledge. All I can say is you look at the last, like, we're almost at 3/4 of the season, Adam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got
like we're almost at a sample size now where you're
50 games left.
50 games left. Like, this team is what they are. They're disappointing offensively. and yet their pitching is so damn good that it's almost impossible for them to eliminate themselves. Like, and I'm knock on all the wood. I'm not trying to like taunt the baseball gods here. And I know you look at Seattle, and Seattle's a scary team. They're nipping at our heels. They're a game and a half back of that final wild card spot. You think Mariners fans are sitting around going, "Oh, we score so many runs. I feel so good about the Mariners." Like, the Mariners are literally the Blue Jays. They're literally the same team. Great pitching, good defense, can't score enough runs.
I mean, very few
Games,
teams are perfect from front end to back end, and just thrilled with their starting rotation, their bullpen, and their offensive numbers.
games allowing one or fewer runs this year. The Toronto Blue Jays lead baseball with 36. Tampa Bay Rays are second with 29, and the Seattle Mariners are third with 26. This Blue Jays team, like, they scored 6 runs in their last 4 games and won 2 games. Those 2 middle games, they scored one. Adam, they scored 1 freaking run and won a game. What? Like, we are going to get into pitching, but man, I like the positive spin in this. The positive spin is that the Toronto Blue Jays went 5-2 on their road trip, which is literally it didn't feel good.
Would it have felt better if you flipped the Boston and the Cleveland series? So we went 1-2 against Cleveland and then ended with a sweep against Boston. The tone would be much different today.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Look, we went 5-2. We didn't have one of our best relievers, and we don't have probably our best hitter on the team.
It's impressive.
How much deeper
Bo
into that
Bichette,
gift horse mouth do I have to look? That's a pretty good stint. I don't know. I refuse to
honestly,
not be toxically positive right now.
I'm with you. Like, it's just like one of those things where Bo Bichette wasn't playing, Jordan Romano not in the bullpen. 2 of the biggest contributors to this team all year. I mean, Vladdy's been just, man, watching Vladdy take swings in this Cleveland series was just so disheartening, dude. Like, swinging through 92-mile-an-hour meatballs, fouling off changeups that are literally middle center. Like, just
Okay. Oh, let's just talk Vladdy for a second.
yes.
On long toss, Jen brought up, I don't know, she just mentioned obscurely that she was listening to some radio show. She couldn't remember who was on, but the B word was brought up in relation to Vladdy. The BUST word. How concerned are you about Vladdy?
I'm concerned, man.
Like career wise, like long term, his career. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I still feel like at 29 years old, Vladdy could very well be a 50 home run hitter. Like, like, he's done it before. I do think he has it in him. He obviously has it in him. But there are some disconcerting numbers over the last couple of years. I mean, even his sprint speed, which he had done so much work to improve. In 2020, his sprint speed, when he had lost all that weight, was up to 51%. So when he was a bigger boy, he had, I think it was 8%, maybe 12%. I need to go back and double check what his sprint speed was in 2019. But nonetheless, it was the lower quarter of the league, and got it above 50% in 2020. In 2021, it was 45 percentile, 34 percentile last year, 23 percentile this year. Defensive runs saved in 2021 was 2, -3 last year, and he's at -6 now. So kind of like these areas of his game that shouldn't be affected by his lack of offense seem to also be being affected by his lack of offense. You know, like he really has taken a step back in all aspects of his game, and that is concerning to me.
Well,
This team built the offense around him, Adam.
what's the conventional wisdom on a young player? First 500 at bats, they catch the league by storm. Second 500 at bats, the league adjusts, and then the third 500 at bats is supposed to be their adjustment to those adjustments, and that's supposed to be the true. After 1,500 at bats, you should have a pretty good idea of who this guy really is. If that's the case, that doesn't bode well for Vladdy. That's all I'm saying.
It doesn't.
The league has adjusted to him, and he has not adjusted back. Or if he has, and this is just we're now almost 2,500 at bats into his career. The last 1,000 have been by far the worst.
There are so many smart, intelligent, analytically driven folks in baseball who can't figure Vladdy out. Folks that are much smarter than we are. You know, like you look at his savant page, and that's what everyone can't get over. I mean, his exit velo is incredible. His launch angle has improved. He is literally smoking the ball. And you would think that in time the pendulum would swing the other way. And this is what everyone says whenever you see red all over a savant page, right? Is, you know, sure, he may get unlucky sometimes, but things will even out, and they just haven't this year. And you got to start to wonder if maybe things aren't going to even out. Maybe Vladdy just hits the hardest exit velo in baseball right to guys.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm
looking
at his numbers here, like they're not bad.
They're not.
But they're sure not great.
And that is the problem, dude, is that, again, this front office built this offense around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He was going to be the cog that made this thing turn. And it's pretty difficult when the guy that you built an offense around just isn't doing what he's supposed to do.
I mean, he has an OPS plus of 118 this year, so he's like well above average. He's at 787 for an OPS. This is by far the worst season of his career, it feels like. And he's still like well above average. Hard to attach the bust label to a 24-year-old with numbers like he's putting up. It's just frustrating that we're not seeing the power as a result. I don't know.
That is honestly the biggest hit in this Vladdy Rubik's Cube of a year, is that the power has gone south.
18 home runs. Matt Olson, Shohei Ohtani both have 40 to lead baseball. He's
not going to hit 30 home runs.
I don't know if he's going to hit 25. He might, if I had to bet, probably somewhere between 25 and 30. But he's one more extended slump stretch away from 25.
Think about what a hit last year felt like. He came off 48 home runs in 2021. Then he hit 32, and everyone felt like he had just fell on his face. And the fact that it would be pretty shitty if this is how it goes, but it's not at all impossible. He hits like 22. It's not at all impossible he hits 10 home runs less than last year. I mean, I don't think that's going to be the case, but
well, we're now almost 5 seasons into the Vlad and Bo era. And as a friend of the show, Joel Hayekami, loves to point out, Vlad has statistically had a better season than Bo one time. Offensively. So
in 2021, when he was a world beater.
Yeah.
when he was literally second in MVP votes and hit almost 50 dingers.
Every other time, you'd rather have Bo as your. Anyways, we really sewered our toxic positivity. Thanks, Vlad.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
Peeing in my cornflakes this morning with your almost
It's just so
800
frustrating
OPS
when you
for me
can't
to complain
when you
about.
can't pinpoint what's wrong. Like that's the thing. Like there's so many of us baseball fans who like at least when you see something go wrong, normally you can be like, oh, that's why. And with Vlad, it's just like, I don't know. Just doesn't
I
make
don't
sense.
know.
But anyways,
while we're on the
they are
topic of hitting abilities, I want to just bring up this OPS since May.
yes.
I know I texted you and Joel this the other day. So on Mailbag, we talked about Espinal, Biggio, who gets sent down when there's a roster crunch. Do we keep Davis Schneider up?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the comment section, Eric Shepard said Biggio hasn't just been good lately. He's been good since May. He just had a bad start, which made me look at everybody's OPS since May 1st. Remember, Matt Chapman had a huge May, so that has kind of inflated his batting average and all of his numbers.
Huge April, but yes.
Huge April. Yes, thank you. So let's look at everybody's numbers since May 1st. And I was blown away to see who the leaders were in OPS. So that's on base plus slugging. That is one of the best simple metrics for evaluating offensive acumen, right?
Yes, sir.
Number one on the team, Brandon Belt. I knew he was good. I didn't realize he was the best on our team offensively since May 1st.
Mm-hmm. What's his OPS at? Over 900, right?
905.
905.
Now,
Which can we just touch on Brandon Belt?
I just want to clarify. I texted you this 2 days ago. So anybody that wants to look at the numbers, if they might be off. If he went 0 for 8 in the last 2 games and his OPS is no longer 905, I apologize. But sorry, continue, Scott.
I just wished to give a tip of the hat to Brandon Belt. This team would be in real big problems, real big trouble without him. He has been a veteran calming presence on the bench. He has seen more pitches than anyone on this team. And that was one thing that was really lacking in May when they were struggling so heavily, was that no one was seeing pitches. And Brandon Belt has done that in spades. It's funny because I tweeted this out. You sent all the numbers and I tweeted it out at him. I wound up in an argument with someone where we had just crossed our got our hairs crossed. What's the frickin' saying when you're confused? Wires crossed. There you go. Gee, good Lord, Scott. Yeah, we got our wires crossed, and he was arguing about Cavan Biggio, and I was arguing about Brandon Belt, and like the only thing that threw us, we were both like, because he is supposed to like see pitches, so we were both like, at the end, like I messaged him afterwards. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, but anyways, yes, Cavan Biggio, Brandon Belt have been better this year, and Adam's got the numbers to back it up than people are giving him credit for.
Okay, I'll run down the numbers quickly here. So this is all 12 of our players who have 50 or more games, basically. So I'm not counting the Davis Schneiders, I'm not counting the Ernie Clements or the Jordan Luplos or anybody like that. But everybody who is more or less a regular on this team, we're looking at them. So Brandon Belt, number one in OPS with 905. Bo Bichette, no surprise, way up there, 841. Danny Jansen, third on the team in OPS, 815.
This is why we are constantly saying hit Danny Jansen in the 4 or 5 hole. Like, no one else is hitting for power, anyways.
He ain't hitting for average, I'll tell you that, but he's hitting for power. Number 4, Cavan Biggio.
That's like just
since May 1st. That's a sample size. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's probably only played 45 games since May 1st, but look, the difference between Espinal, who's played 40-ish games since May 1st, and the difference between Kevin Biggio with his spot starts,
Substantial.
performing when he's in the lineup, 790 OPS out of Kevin Biggio. Good for
It's really
fourth on the team.
difficult too. It's really difficult to perform at your highest level when you're not getting reps and not getting into the lineup every single day.
Yeah.
Kevin Biggio has done an incredible job at turning himself into a very valuable bench utility piece to this team. He's
Yeah.
kind of saved his job.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have a harder time sending him down than Santiago Espinal, at least for the rest of the season. Anyways, let's continue.
We're not saying Kevin Biggio is an everyday player, by the way, everyone.
No.
But we are saying that he has been really good with the reps he's been given.
For a bench piece, he's done absolutely all you could ask for. For a 26th man on the roster,
100%.
He's pulling his weight.
A lot
number
more so
5,
than most of these guys.
Number 5, Kevin Kiermaier. Number 6, Dimwit Merrifield. Number 7, George Springer. Number 8 on the team, Vlad Jr.
Like 8.
That's wild. Matt Chapman, number 9. So you take out his April, and his numbers do not look good. OPS of 694 since May 1st.
This is why this team only scores 1 run over 2 games.
Yeah. Dalton Varsho, 10th with an OPS of 668. Alejandro Kirk, 11th with an OPS of 665. And Santiago Espinal, in his limited reps, 639 is his OPS since May 1st. When I looked up those numbers, they were kind of jarring, some of these. Like, I knew Vladdy was having a bad season. 8th on this team, not good. Danny Jansen and Kevin Biggio being 3 and 4.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem that Brandon Belt has got the best OPS on this team. Which is funny because you're still seeing comments like DFA Brandon Belt. Like,
yeah, and it's just, I don't get it. Even people even have a tough time even giving him any credit. Like when I tweeted out that list that you had just read, like there were a few people that were like, yeah, but your team sucks if Brandon Belt's hitting second. And it's like, well, who do you want hitting second? Our best player, Bo Bichette, is out. You take the number 1 offensive cog out of any team's core, and yeah, they're going to stifle a little bit and have some trouble finding a replacement. Crazy how that is. But I mean, you might as well take the guy who's got the best OPS over the last 4 months and stick him there and hope it works. Like, I agree. Brandon Belt isn't my ideal number 2 hitter. My ideal number 2 hitter is currently injured.
Yeah, we're staying afloat. We're treading water. Anyways, that's, if you're as shocked by some of those numbers and the OPS leaders, let me know. I want to hear it in the comments. Who on that list is the most shocking there?
Great job by, what was his name again? Who inspired you to do this? The
Eric Shepard.
Yes, tip of the hat to Eric Shepard, who got at him on his analytic horse here.
Grounds crew putting in the work. I always appreciate it.
Love to see it. 3 studs and a dud. What do you got for us this week, pal?
All right. Believe it or not, after the last 12 minutes of our conversation, honorable mention.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
No. Yeah. No, he hit 308 this week.
Yeah, he did. He's been a little bit more.
He did get a home run, only 2 strikeouts, OPS 871. Again, I think those numbers are inflated from the Boston series, but that's been the whole team. Everybody's numbers kind of look pretty good, thanks to that Boston series, I think. So honorable mention to Vlad Jr. for real. Number 3 on the list, George Springer. Ended maybe the worst dry spell of his career.
Yeah, his 0 for 35. Since his 0 for 35 stretch, though,
Yeah,
he's been wildly good.
in his last 7 games, so in the last week, 28 at bats, 14 hits, including 4 doubles
Wow.
and a home run, 4 RBIs, good for a batting average of 500.
And I think you're correct in saying that that was without a doubt his worst stretch in career history for him. That's a tough one to deal with, especially as a guy with such a track record and a career, like 33 years old, and all of a sudden you're in the biggest slump of your life, and you're just like, what am I doing? How is this working? So good to see him get out of his head and put up some numbers again. This team needed it.
Where's he hitting in the batting order these days? I know he's not leading off anymore, or is he again?
No, he's been pretty regularly in the 5 hole.
The 5 hole. Okay, so
Yeah.
we've moved him down, and it's paying off, right? I think that's probably stays there for the time being.
I mean, that's where I'd like to see him. I think he's a middle of the order bat. I think he should be concentrating on hitting for more power and becoming the player we need him to be, which is someone who can drive in runs. But anyways.
All right. Stud number 2, Gary Gossman.
Hey, old Gary Goss.
7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 0 walks as well. Didn't walk a single batter, 6 strikeouts. Did what we needed him to do.
Kevin Gausman continues to be a ace at the top of the staff. He's going to get Cy Young votes. He's going to be a contender for it. He's currently sitting, what's his ERA right now? 3.0
304
or something.
304.
Yeah.
A whip of 1.14.
Just about hitting those twos, and I think we'll see it in the next start or two as he continues to.
Yeah, he's in midseason
be
form.
The stopper.
I think he's dialed in. As long as he stays healthy, I think we can expect some more good performances here.
He's leading the American League in strikeouts. I mean, he has been. I'm out of words to describe what he's been to this team, because without Kevin Gausman, I mean, there's a few names that you can actually pin 2023 on, and they're mostly pitchers. They're mostly in this starting rotation, but Kevin Gausman at the top of that list.
Looking at pitchers in the American League, Gausman is, hold on, qualified players. Gausman is currently 3rd in the American League in ERA. So Eovaldi has a 2.69, Garrett Cole has a 2.75, Gausman 3.04. The whip kind of lines up the same way. Eovaldi 101, Garrett Cole 104, Gausman 114. Shohei Ohtani is in 4th with a 3.17 ERA and a whip of 106. He's almost for sure going to win the MVP this year, right?
He has to.
Do you think he also wins a Cy Young, maybe?
It's not even impossible. He's going to get votes. I mean, he has been incredible. He's the whole reason this Angels team even was flirting with the playoffs for as long as they did.
It's not unrealistic. I mean, you go, well, he's 4th in this category and 4th in that category, but like his whip is way up there. And when you're looking at those top 4, opponent batting average, Eovaldi 208, Garrett Cole 212, Gausman 236, Ohtani 185. I'm just saying, like, maybe that's the justification to vote for it, because I don't know, MVP and a Cy Young for Ohtani, that just feels like a good story for baseball. So I don't know. Man. I don't know how many more years of pitching we're going to see out of Shohei Ohtani, to be honest.
Probably a few. but I'm with you. I get what you're saying.
He's 29. He'll probably pitch next year, probably pitch the year after that. But then all of a sudden, he's 33, he's 34. Maybe he's just hitting bombs and standing in right field or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I just mean, this might be the closest he ever gets to being literally the best pitcher at the same time.
And best hitter. Yeah.
Right? Like if he leads baseball in home runs and wins a Cy Young,
Which isn't even impossible, man. It is not impossible.
This is what I'm saying. It just feels like, look, if he leads baseball in home runs and is like top 4 in most categories that matter for pitching, and then like I can just see him getting votes. I don't think it's crazy to think he's a Cy Young candidate. I'm not a betting man, but I might put some money on Shohei Ohtani to win the Cy Young. I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know what the odds are on that. But.
This is 2023, without a doubt, has been his best pitching performance to date.
Right. And like, even if next year he's back down to earth and is only a top 10 pitcher in the American League.
Yeah.
Still really awesome. I can't do that. No other hitters can do that. But he's so close to winning a Cy Young. Most pitchers
can't do that.
Yeah, most pitchers can't do that. You're right. I don't know. I just think this might be the closest he ever gets to the Cy Young. So this would be a great season to throw votes his way. I don't know. Kind of crazy.
All right.
Did we finish 3 studs and a dud? No, we got Gary Gossman. Stud number 1, friend of the show, David Schneider.
Love it. There he is.
The
mustache man.
Mustache man.
Babe Schneider, as Brendan Belt so kindly referred to him.
Dud of the week, Paul DeYoung.
Yeah, he's had a rough go to start his career as a Blue Jay, that's for sure.
0.80 for a batting average.
Ugly.
9 strikeouts, 0 walks in the past 7 days. But he's holding it down at shortstop, playing clean baseball. So
truly, he has defensively been everything this team needed him to be. And I mean, if you look at what Santiago Espinal has done defensively this season, it's nice to have a guy that is as dependable as Paul DeYoung is.
How much better is he defensively than Bo Bichette?
Probably a little bit.
In a World Series situation, we're talking Game 7. You know where this question's going.
Yeah.
Game 7, 9th inning or something. Bo Bichette just finished his at-bat in the top of the 9th. You don't pull him out for Paul DeYoung, do you?
No.
But you're going to watch nervously every ground ball hit to Bo Bichette, aren't you?
Absolutely.
You
don't know.
Every single one that's hit to Bo Bichette in the 9th inning, Game 7, you're going, oh, I wish we had Paul DeYoung in there. Oh, why didn't we pull Bo Bichette? And then he's going to throw it, and you're going to be like, all right, average defensive fielder. That's all right. We got it out.
Until the Blue Jays give up a run, and then it's tied at 1-1, and then Paul DeYoung comes to the plate, and you're like, what have we done?
Why did we bench it? Why did we sub him out? All right, we're getting crazy here. We're getting crazy. That's your 3 studs and a dud. There you go. Let's move on.
The level of excellence. We haven't seen an addition to the level of excellence in some time. Now we've seen players removed from it, but we have not seen them added. And if there's ever been a more deserving player than Jose Bautista, I can't think of him. This is a dude who, when times were tough in Toronto as a Blue Jay fan, gave fans something to cheer about. Listen, we all are aware of what he did in 2015 and 2016. We're all aware of that core of players and the heart that they brought back to Toronto baseball-wise. With Edwin and Josh Donaldson and Marco Estrada and David Price, and the list goes on of players that reinvigorated the love of ball. But I'm thinking back to 2010, Adam. when the Toronto Blue Jays were not a fun team to watch. Jose Bautista had just been acquired a couple years ago for literally a bag of balls from the Pittsburgh Pirates at 26 years old. He'd slowly worked his way into the everyday lineup by 2010. And the year before 2008, my apologies. I want to get the years right here. He had a big spring, big September. You might remember that. He had 10 home runs in September, and everyone was like, holy shit, who is this Jose Bautista? He's only got like 18 home runs on the year. He had like 8 coming into September, and he just got hot and was just hitting bombs. 2009 comes around, and he starts to kind of get his way into every day. I think he hit over 20 home runs that year. And then, buddy, 2010, he hit 54 dingers for the Toronto Blue Jays. No Toronto Blue Jay has ever hit 50 home runs besides Jose Bautista. To put it in perspective, Aaron Judge, who broke the American League record with 62 last year. That's not that far off, right? Like 54, he's in the realm. Jose Bautista deserves to be on the level of excellence. And I'm so pumped that they did it the right way, right? They signed him to a 1-day contract. Again, Adam and I kind of touched on this off the top here, where he's not going to be in a uniform. He's not going to be on the bench or anything like that.
Don't ask your stupid questions, you stupid idiots. It's not an active roster. He's not DHing for us this week.
Like, it's a nice story. I really do. No one deserves it more than Jose Bautista for what he did for the city of Toronto and baseball fans around the country. And to see him being retired in the jersey that all of us know he should be in, which is a Toronto Blue Jay jersey. It's going to be a really fun weekend. I think he's going to get so much love. That 54 dingers he hit was incredible. I mean, he finished his career with 344. And I mean, Jose Bautista was the poster boy for late bloomers. Mm-hmm. He gave every kid hope who was still, 20 years old and maybe not ready to hang up the cleats. That, like Jose Bautista didn't really find it till he was 27. Maybe I can be the same.
Sustained greatness in a Blue Jays uniform. 9.5 seasons he spent with the Blue Jays. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't realize it until I started looking back at, you remember the 54 home run campaign. You remember the bat flip. You remember getting cold cocked by Rougned Odor.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize how good he was forever for this team. Like 10 years is an eternity in professional sports. So tip of the hat to him. Is he the best hitter in Blue Jays history? Where does he rank? Who's better than him? Who's worse? I just want to put this out there for perspective. Vlad Jr. through 5 seasons, 4.5 seasons. OPS plus in these 5 seasons, 132. An OPS of 848. Jose Bautista, over 10 seasons, 9.5 seasons, OPS plus 133. OPS 869.
Very impressive. I would love to hear from the grounds crew and where people rank Jose Bautista. I personally think Carlos Delgado.
I was going to say hitter. Carlos Delgado is who comes to mind for me too, but I got to pull up the stats here.
I mean, Jose without a doubt is a top 5 Blue Jays hitter of all time. I think it's pretty safe to put him in the top 5. You could argue certain ways depending on the numbers you're looking at, but I think Carlos is number 1.
Carlos Delgado played 2 games in 1993 the World Series year. But we'll count it. We'll say 12 seasons with the Blue Jays from 1993 to 2004. Career OPS 949.
Wow.
OPS plus 142.
Well, the numbers don't lie. There it is. Your best Toronto Blue Jays hitter of all time, Carlos Delgado. Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, let us know. Where does Jose Bautista rank for you? All-time greats, Toronto Blue Jays. There you go.
Jose Bautista doesn't get credit for some of the things he did for the game of baseball, too. I mean, I know that the bat flip really was a shining moment in Toronto sports history, Canadian sports history.
Mm-hmm.
But that bat flip did more than reinvigorate Canada's love of baseball, right? Like that bat flip changed the game. It brought to the forefront, let the kids play. It gave, and that was the thing too. Jose Bautista, when he bat flipped, was 34 years old, right? This wasn't some arrogant kid doing it. This was a man who had grinded out lows and high points of his career to get to a point where he was in a division series in an at bat that mattered.
And then had the all-time outcome. Yep.
And then had the all-time outcome.
It's what you play wiffle ball in your backyard with your buds, imagining is that at bat. And we've all done it. And he got to live it out in the truest form. Yeah.
And you're right. See how, like, think about how fun baseball is. Like, think about watching Juan Soto do his little shimmy, right? Think about Tim Anderson bat flipping singles all the time. You know, like, but these are things that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Jose Bautista. And I think he just made baseball more fun by showing everyone a little bit of emotion in a big moment in one of the biggest games that he's ever played in.
No, you're right. Guys like him and why can't I think of the other guy? Played for the Dodgers. What was his name? Why can't I think of it?
Oh, Puig.
Yasiel Puig. Yeah, guys like him that were showed emotion before emotion was okay and were a little bit raked over the coals for it. Like,
big time.
Blue Jays fans, we loved the bat flip. It was not a universally awesome moment across sports. There's a lot of
truly.
What the F is this guy doing? I would throw at his head next time he's at, like whatever. Like that was the.
And then they did. He had to fight. Like, anyways.
Yeah. You're right. And then now that's not. I don't think anybody would look twice at Adley Rutschman bat flipping in a big moment in the playoffs or something. Mm-hmm. They'd be like, yeah, this is awesome. Good for him. So you're right. On what did he do for baseball stage? Was probably one of the ushers into this new era of let the kids have fun. And yeah, that's good.
I agree. Fun sellies now. You see them all the time.
Fun sellies, yeah.
Let's get into pitching here because that has been what this Toronto Blue Jays team has done very, very well. Pitching above everything. So let's talk about the bullpen here. Jordan Romano, just a quick little update here. He's been dealing with some lower back issues. He threw 33 pitches yesterday in Toronto and felt really good, is what he's saying. He's going to be eligible to be activated tomorrow. The Blue Jays haven't decided whether he's going to need a quick rehab start in Buffalo. There is a big time roster crunch going on right now. So my guess is Jordan Romano does get that one rehab start
time. Yeah.
By a little bit of time. And it's good. I mean, it's been 2 weeks, right? So it might not be a bad idea there anyways. Hagen D, we just talked about it off the top of the show here, but Hagen Danner has been called up. So he is going to be in the bullpen. Very, very, very excited to have this dude on the roster. He's probably not going to stick around. He's going to get his cup of coffee and probably be back with the Bisons by end of August. Even if he blows guys away, I think that's going to be the case. They're just too tight on this 26-man roster, 40-man roster. So uh Tim Mayza, dude. I
Okay.
mean,
Friend of the show.
friend of the show, Tim Mayza has been a revelation in the back end of this bullpen. He's the lone lefty. His numbers are insane. You put his numbers next to Felix Bautista of the Orioles, they're very, very comparable. Batista's pitched more. I think Tim only has 41 innings, 42 innings, something like that, to Batista's 56 or something like that. But like literally, he's right there as a lefty
Yeah.
dominant.
Yeah.
Going into starters, just a few stats to comb over here. The Blue Jays currently have 4 starters with a sub-4 ERA. Toronto hasn't had 4 do this, 4 starters be below 4 ERA since 1989, over 30 years ago. Most starts allowing 0 earned runs in 6+ innings this season. The Blue Jays, number 1 with 21, the Padres 19, the Guardians 16, the Mariners 16. So just keep that in mind. As and I don't get me wrong, I am panicking looking at Seattle as well. But all of these stats show that the Blue Jays are slightly better at preventing runs than the Mariners. And being that those are the two big strength, that's the one big strength of both these teams. You just cross your fingers and hope that the Blue Jays can just continue to do what they've done all year, which is surprise us when we least expect us and disappoint us when we think that we're going to be okay and just manage to get into the wild card. I really do think they're going to do it. So you got to just hope that this pitching holds up. Yusei Kikuchi has been a freaking bright light in an otherwise dark sky. Like
Yep.
career years out of bullpen pieces that we didn't expect.
Oh, we should touch on the update for Chad Green.
Yes.
Concussion protocol.
Back on that 7-day IL, the special IL for the concussion protocol.
So he's hit in the head by a ball. The stolen base attempt, throw down to 2 from Heineman. Caught him right in the back of the head. Left the game. No further update, but it'll be monitored closely, right?
Yeah, and you just need to hope that it's not a big deal. I mean, head injuries are always a big question mark. You never really know a timeline. They put the week-long concussion protocol into place so that long-term damage stopped happening. So good on Major League Baseball, about freaking time. A real bummer for Chad Green, who has worked so hard to come back after missing the entire season. And everyone's kind of looking at September and thinking, boy, Chad Green in the back end of this bullpen would sure look nice.
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye on that.
There you go.
We don't need to go too into the weeds in pitching, but I did think it was important to kind of reiterate why this team is winning. And it is definitely pitching, and just any kind of love we can continue to throw the pitcher's way is well deserved. Let's talk George Springer here, because I'm really curious on your thoughts on this, because George Springer was ejected from the game late yesterday. John Schneider then running out to defend his player. George, of course, was arguing balls and strikes. John Schneider gets ejected as well. Did this rub you the wrong way? Because honestly, like I'm so used to umps being ump shows.
Mm-hmm.
It just, as soon as a guy argues balls and strikes, I kind of expect that that's going to be the reaction, especially at the end of the game. And especially because George has been frustrated and yapping a little more than probably normal to the umps. How did you feel about that ejection?
I don't know. It was.
And by the way, grounds crew members, would love to hear your thoughts on this George Springer ejection. We can maybe get to just the broader ump show thing in mailbag next Tuesday here. But
My daughter and I have it's called throwing hands, not in like a fighting way, but it's like one step below giving the middle finger. Just like this. Like,
Yeah,
what the? So a guy cuts you off in traffic, you throw
the
hands.
WTF hands.
Yeah, right. And that's where George Springer, I think, like I'm watching the replay of it now.
Mm-hmm.
He's jawing with him, expressing his displeasure. Are you kidding me? That was low. Jawing at him, not getting ejected, and then as he turns his back to him, throws hands, and that's when the ump takes exception and tosses him. I don't really have a problem with him getting ejected. Like I don't know. I don't think it was an uncalled for ejection, I guess.
Yeah,
If that's what you're asking me.
that's what I was asking you.
Okay. I think Springer deserved to be ejected. Or not like I would have been fine if he wasn't. I'm fine that he is. I don't think it was lightly handed out ejections. I've seen ejections handed out for doing less that I have disagreed with. I don't know. They were having their draw session. He continued, turned his back on the ump, and then throws hands.
Yeah.
That's just a bridge too far. And I can see where the umpire is like, you know what? You're done.
I do wish to say I agree that he deserved to get thrown out. And the fact that it was August 11th, fine.
Yeah.
I would hope that in a playoff series, George would be a little bit more, show a little more
Composed.
self-control and maybe not jaw like that and throw hands. I would also hope that the ump would reel it in a little bit in a bigger game and not make it all about himself, which I know that's not necessarily the case with umpires. Fans get really uppity about it, and I know I'm very guilty of this myself, of watching an umpire do something like call George Springer on jawing balls and strikes and throwing him out, and I'm like, ump show, look at this, gotta make it all about him.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel that way sometimes, and I think in big games I would have a much bigger problem. If this was a bigger game, I would have had a much bigger problem with it. August 11th. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Schneider?
I mean, he had to go out. Yeah, he had to go out, right? Like, had to, I mean, yeah. Okay, let's take a look at the week ahead. I know we've talked Joey Bats and then the celebration that will be Jose Bautista over the next 3 days, and the fact that he's getting his number retired and put up on the level of excellence. But the Cubs are in town, and baseball is still an important, there's some important baseball still to be played here while they celebrate Jose. So Jose Barrios taking the mound tonight against Javier Assad, and then we're going to see Chris Bassett and Hyun-Jin Ryu on Sunday.
A lot of off days this week.
A lot of off days.
5 games.
Monday's an off day. Thursday's an off day.
Yep. Cubs and Phillies. I have no idea what to expect for wins and losses, Scott.
Neither do I. I think it is important for this team to win 3 of 5. I mean, obviously,
kind of all I'm at too. Yeah, it's like let's just keep staying above 500 and keep growing it.
You look at their record against National League teams, and it's pretty darn good. Feeling good going into this Cubs Philly series. Thank God, at least it's not the AL East coming in. We'll see how it goes. Their pitching's going to continue to do what their pitching has done all year, which is perform well. And we just need to cross our fingers and hope that they can scratch out more than 6 runs over 4 days, which is what they did in Cleveland. Which is still mind-blowing to me, dude, that they scored 6 runs in 4 games and won 2 games. What?
So with the extra days off, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, Ryu pitch Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Day off, Kikuchi, Gossman. Day off, Manoah, Barrios, Bassett. So what that means is 7 full days of rest for guys like Barrios, Bassett, Ryu. Would you be okay skipping a Manoah start?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that too. Like just give
with
him
this
some
roster
extra
crunch, we
time
may
off.
even
Maybe send him down.
see
I don't know.
Manoah get sent down to take a start in Buffalo. We'll see.
Because
It's going
then
to be interesting to see how they manage this roster.
if we skip the Manoah start, because again, keep in mind we have a 6-man rotation, so it's not absurd to say we're only gonna have a 5-man rotation. Sorry.
Yeah.
But in that case, if we skip the Manoah start, then Barrios pitches today, this Friday, and he still gets 6 days rest. Pitches again next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a great opportunity to skip a Manoah start. If it was somebody else, like if it was Gossman scheduled to pitch Friday, I would say, of course, you don't skip a Gossman start. Or if Manoah was on the other side of the day off, if Manoah was pitching Wednesday, I wouldn't want to pitch Gossman on short rest just to get to skip a Manoah
just
start.
to eliminate a Manoah start. But
But the way it lines up with the 2 off days and then a Manoah start, I'd be all right with that. But I don't know. Mm-hmm. Smarter people than me are making those decisions. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. You know what? I don't know. Maybe they're looking ahead at the schedule, though, and they go, well, if we move Barrios up to this Friday, then 3 weeks from now, we have Manoah like in a matchup we don't like or something, right? Like, there are more factors beyond just these 7 days, I suppose. So there you go. Okay.
5 games in 7 days this week. We'll see how it goes.
And off to Cincinnati and then back to Baltimore 2 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know next couple months, man.
Everyone's kind of got their eye on those final 15 games of the year, and they should. Going to make or break this team, I think. So they just need to give themselves the best opportunity. I know I was listening to Blair and Barker the other day, and Barker was talking about just giving themselves an opportunity to go 8-7 in the final 15 games, just to not need to set themselves up to
we
win.
Don't need to go 14-1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all right, well, let's call it there. Thank you so much to everyone who has clicked on the video or listened to audio. You can get this wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, hit the subscribe and like button. It's appreciated. To all of the Patreon members, we do give an extra tip of the hat. Thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Just a reminder, we are going to be re-releasing our chat with newest Blue Jay, Hagen Danner. So you can check out that and get to know Mr. Haggy D.
He's so fun.
Also,
too. He's electric personality
dude.
For sure.
Yeah, so. He's just such a great guy. And then long toss on Sunday, everybody. All right. That's it. Cheers.
That's it. Have a good one. Go Jays, go.